Hello, Basement Movie Room. We're back with another review, and we have begun the Star Wars rewatch. We're in the sequel trilogy. No, the prequel trilogy. I'm an idiot. Prequel trilogy, which, what does it matter? They're on even. I'm not going to cut anything. I'm terrible at cutting things. Except maybe that.
Yeah.
We're in the prequel trilogy. We're starting from prequel through original and then through sequel trilogy. I tell you, I was not particularly looking forward to the prequel trilogy overall myself, because there's one movie in the prequel trilogy that I can't stand so much to watch anymore.
One movie to rule them all.
It is
or
not
to ruin them all.
It is not this one though, because I have very fond memories of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yep.
So Phantom Menace
Good memories.
Came out May of 1999. We were there opening night in Jackson, Tennessee.
Just graduated high school.
It was, we had. We had just graduated high school. So we're dating ourselves at this point. But we were there opening night.
We graduated early.
The lead up to this freaking movie was insane. It was the most excited I've ever been for a movie up to this point, probably.
Imagination was going wild.
Yeah, we didn't know
in store.
What's going to go on with this movie.
Yeah.
So, we were talking
Dash
about
Rendar going to be in it?
Dash Rendar. Probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we saw it opening night. We bought our tickets. I guess it was a midnight showing. Was it a midnight? I think it was a midnight showing, because that's before they did like 8 p.m. showings the night before or whatnot.
We didn't go until late.
So yeah, we it was at a fever pitch, and honestly, it's not a great movie, but I have a lot of fond memories of this movie. I saw it 5 times in the theater. You probably saw it quite a few times in the theater. And I loved it when it came out. I knew it had problems. I never, I didn't want to admit those problems back in the day. But, you could tell it had problems. But it also has a lot of good about it. I mean, most people are like, oh, Phantom Menace, Jar Jar. Sure, he's annoying. He's not the greatest character in the world. But certainly, you can get past that with the good parts.
Yeah, you do. When it came out, you did look past that, because you're really watching like Qui Gon and ObiWan and just waiting for the Anakin thing, and so you kind of you dealt with Jar Jar.
But it did also start to set up for the second movie, Attack of the Clones, with all this political stuff, and Lucas can't write political stuff. I mean, you look at like Game of Thrones and the political stuff that George R. R. Martin writes in those books, and how the show took, at least when they were on his books, was doing that. That's not what Star Wars should be, and that's what George tried to do with this political intrigue and this trade federation and the war and all that.
And getting the Chancellor
absolutely,
out of there. That Chancellor out of there so quick. I guess it just takes one senator to say no confidence.
Yeah, it's all ridiculous.
Yeah,
but let's talk about the Phantom Menace instead of me complaining about Attack of the Clones, which I'm going to do in full depth on our next review. So Phantom Menace starts out, and you get you get the opening crawl, and you get the camera. Does the camera go up or down in this one?
It goes.
I can't remember.
It scrolls. They always scroll up.
It's on the Corvette class cruiser, though, right?
I think it scrolls up. Yeah, and then you got the Corvette.
Yeah, you got the Corvette cruiser coming in, and it lands, and you learn that there's 2 Jedi on this. One of them you recognize, and one of them's a new Jedi created. I don't know that he was created for this, or if he was in any other media, but Qui Gon Jinn, played by the great Liam Neeson, and he was terrific.
Amazing.
And so you got Qui Gon Jinn, and of course Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by the great Ewan McGregor. I mean, they couldn't have cast those 2 guys. 2 great, English/Irish, Scottish actors. But yeah, both of them are great. And from the start, you're like, holy crap, we're back in Star Wars. We have Jedis.
Yeah.
And then they kind of hit you with the Trade Federation, and I hate the Trade Federation. What's it, Newt Gunray and that other...
Yeah, those guys from
the other guy.
Just kind
of I don't like the alien design of those guys at all.
No.
I don't like anything about the Trade Federation. Battle droids are introduced a little bit. I hate them as well. I think they're terrible.
Yeah.
But we have Jedi, so that helps. And then you kind of, you do at least get to action fairly quick with this, because the Trade Federation assumes that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are there to basically take them out to end the war. But they're just there to negotiate, but mistakes made by the Trade Federation. They try to kill him.
Aggressive negotiations.
Yeah. And then we get the cool scene with Qui Gon opening the door with his lightsaber and cutting through it. That's amazing.
That's still so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff. That's like, because we never got to see lightsabers do anything like that. That's a new thing that was introduced in this movie. There's a lot of different things that you always knew a lightsaber could probably do, but here we're seeing it. It's melting this iron or metal or steel door, whatever it is. So that's cool. So, they get out of the room.
And the Force Run.
Oh, the Force Run. Only used in this movie.
Only show.
Never seen it again.
Yeah.
We got some Force jumps and stuff otherwise.
You had that back in Empire.
Yeah, you got that stuff.
Luke jumped out of that.
So, but the Force Run was kind of interesting. Never used again. I think the effect was a little corny, and maybe they decided it didn't look right, so they wouldn't use it anymore. Yeah. At least then. Maybe they could use it now. It'd probably be better effects now.
Faster, more intense.
So nonetheless, in order to kind of push this kind of they picked up our food. In order to push this kind of forward, basically Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan escape the situation, fight off a bunch of droids, and they get off the Trade Federation ship and back down to Naboo. We're introduced to Naboo, where Queen Amidala resides, played by Natalie Portman most of the time. She's got all her handmaidens. Keira Knightley plays Amidala as well as a decoy.
Which I guess they did not get along on set.
Yeah, supposedly they did not. It's interesting. And this is before Knightley had done. This is before she'd done Bend It Like Beckham, which made her a star. So she was kind of just.
She was young.
Yeah, she was super young. So she did Bend It Like Beckham like the next year, I think. 2000, 2001, which made her a huge star, and she got into Pirates, like in 2003. She was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates is that long?
Yeah, 2003. Because I worked at the Warenberg Theater in Eureka when Pirates came out. So they get off there. They go down to the planet. They decide the best course of action because they're invading. The Trade Federation is invading the planet with all these stupid battle droids. And they meet Jar Jar. They go to the Gungans, which I hate the Gungans too. I think they're a terrible design.
Yeah, that whole Gungan city was.
Yeah, Qui-Gon and ObiWan, and it's the accents of the Gungans are a little maybe offensive at times as well. Yeah,
very cartoonish too.
I do think the scene where they take the submarine through the core of the planet is cool. I mean, a water core planet is a cool idea, and then
except everybody inside the ship is just like emotionless.
Yeah, there's always a bigger fish.
Godzilla just swam. It's like the same design from the 98
Godzilla, which was a year before.
Yeah, a year before. It looked exactly like that. But everybody's just like, ooh, okay.
Well, there's always a bigger fish.
They go over there.
So they get through and they get to Queen Amidala, and they convince her that the safest course of action would be to get her off the planet to Coruscant, where Palpatine, the Senator Palpatine from the planet, can help protect her on Coruscant. So they leave the planet, and they get damaged as they're leaving the planet by the Trade Federation in a cool ship. George had an obsession with SR-71 Blackbirds because it's clearly modeled after that. Yeah. And so they get damaged, and they end up. I'm a little confused how they end up on Tatooine from Naboo,
because it was a remote planet.
Yeah, but it's not on the outer rim, is it?
That's what they said.
Is it? Okay.
It's controlled by the.
It's been a while since I looked at the maps.
The Federation wouldn't.
Yeah, Tatooine's on the outer rim, but is Naboo on the outer rim? No, because they crash land on Naboo essentially.
They couldn't.
So that's a little like hand waving. You're not supposed to think about that at all.
It's like Gotham and Metropolis. They're right next door to each other, right?
I'm not talking about that. I don't want to get into that.
That's for another day.
I'm not even sure that's another day.
Ooh.
So nonetheless, they land on Tatooine. They go into Mos Eisley, which is the classic location from A New Hope. And they discover, Qui-Gon discovers that the person accompanying him is actually the Queen, because she insists her handmaiden Padme come with her, and it's actually the Queen Amidala, which Queen on Naboo is like an elected title. So it's like President Amidala is more what it is. So they...
But he didn't find out until...
He doesn't find out until later.
Until later, until right before the battle.
Yeah, that's true. He does find out later. And they meet Anakin Skywalker when they're looking for parts to fix the ship. Qui-Gon knows something special about Anakin. Anakin tells him that he's the only human pod racer, and Qui-Gon's. I think he's genuinely impressed by that. I think he knows that this kid's special.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he meets Watto, who is a weird. I'm fine with Watto. Yeah. He's fine. He's weird, alien design, but he's fine. And so they meet Watto, and Watto essentially tells them this is how much the park's going to cost. They don't have that kind of money because they don't take Republic credits on Tatooine.
Right.
So Anakin kind of puts them up in his home with his mom, Shmi Skywalker, who's a slave. They're both slaves. Watto owns them both.
He's not a slave. He's a person.
Yeah,
his name's Anakin.
His acting, Jake Lloyd, was tough for him because the dialogue wasn't great.
Yeah.
Are you an angel?
Yeah, for a young actor like that, that's not very good at acting, to have Lucas's dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean
that's
tough.
It is tough.
I mean,
for sure.
Even top-notch actors were having trouble with being.
Yeah.
With Lucas's dialogue.
Yeah, it's extremely rough. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're up in, and you meet C-3PO for the first time because Anakin's building C-3PO.
That was kind of a big issue.
Yeah, it causes a lot of issue if you watch the movies and think about it.
They wiped his memory.
R2 causes a lot of issues later as well, in my opinion. Yeah, but nonetheless, Anakin and Qui-Gon, are talking, and Qui-Gon sees that he's a special kid. He's got force powers, and this is where the unfortunate thing of midi-chlorians comes into play. The second, well, no, I'm going to say that's the worst thing about this film, with Jar Jar being second, and then the Trade Federation being third.
Yeah.
Midi-chlorians introduction really, really ruined the force for a lot of people.
MC count.
And they mentioned that in Mandalorian, so it's still around. They're not getting rid of it. They can't.
Yeah, the force was just.
Yeah, it's something in nature that binds all things. It's not.
They just took everything Yoda said and took a crap on it.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. It's bad. I try to ignore it, but it's not. It's there. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like to watch this movie and see that part. So you get past that. They don't talk about it too much later. I think in the Jedi Council they talk about it at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Yeah, he's got more than Master Yoda.
Yeah. So he's special. That's all you need to really know. And I mean, if you've ever seen any Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. Oh my God! Spoilers! So now they come up with a plan that they're going to kind of trick Watto into betting with them on the pod race, and Qui-Gon is going to back Anakin in this pod race with Anakin's pod racer that he's building himself. Which that pod racer thing, I'm pretty sure, shows up later in The Mandalorian. One of the engines does as a motorcycle type deal.
Yep.
So he backs him in the pod race to help, to help win the parts for the ship. And we also get an appearance by Darth Maul in the middle of all this. Yeah. The coolest character that came out of this movie. Qui-Gon and him.
That
two best parts.
That fight scene, although I don't like the way it was shot because it was too damn close. Mm-hmm. I would like to see more wider shots.
It was tough in the theater to watch that.
Yeah,
because it was so close. Yeah,
but
it's too close.
It really did really feel like,
yeah,
it did take you.
Yeah, no.
But I didn't like the way
it's the first lightsaber battle you've really seen since the original trilogy, where those lightsaber battles were kind of slow and plodding and not greatly choreographed, but fun. I mean, they were fun. I mean, Vader and Luke in Jedi was pretty good. It was getting better at that point, but then you got a guy like Ray Park on set, who is a amazing martial artist, swordsman. You're gonna have some good stuff.
And it was only the single blade.
Yeah.
But only got the trailer, I think, ruined the double blade.
Yeah. Well,
so you already knew that was coming.
It was hype though.
Yeah.
It was a lot of hype. It was awesome.
True.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, that was an introduction to how those lightsaber fights were gonna be moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So. After the fight, there's obviously trouble. They know there's a Sith. And Qui-Gon has a conversation with is it Windu that he has a conversation with, or is it Yoda?
Well, first we get the first meeting of Anakin and ObiWan.
Ah, yes.
Very monumental.
Yep, Anakin and ObiWan's first meeting.
Yeah.
It'll be a relationship that goes for a very long time and ends in tragedy for the most part.
Poor little Annie.
Yeah, little Annie. It's hard to feel sorry for him. But yeah, and then we have that meeting, and then we get Qui Gon talking to, I think it's Mace Windu and Yoda, isn't it? It's one of them, and telling them about that there's a Sith. He knows that it's a Sith, and maybe it's Yoda, and because Yoda's like, always two there are, or something like that. Is this where he says that?
He's talking about Mace and Yoda.
Yeah, always two.
They're like the only ones that talk.
Yeah.
The whole
Jedi Council. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody else just sits there.
Plo Koon, Ki-Adi, nobody else is talking. So, he tells them, and that's really all. Nothing really else happens. They just know there's a Sith on the planet. And so they go to...
They're kind of astonished because they're like, oh, they've been extinct for so long. There's no way that they could come back without us knowing.
That happens before the pod race, right? We didn't get it out of order, did we? Is Darth Maul before the pod race, or is he after the pod race?
He's after the pod race.
Okay, so we went out of order.
We didn't talk about the pod race.
We forgot to talk about the pod race.
Yeah.
So they do the pod race, which is one of the cooler scenes. It holds up still today.
Yeah, very long sequence.
Yeah, very long sequence. Very cool sequence. You meet Sebulba.
Awesome video game.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
I am waiting on my order of it for Nintendo Switch to come in because they redid it or remastered it, I guess. So I'm waiting on that to come in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Anakin wins the pod race. They're going to get off the planet. That's when Darth Maul comes in. And then they finally do get off the planet. Anakin is out of slavery because of the pod race, so he goes with them because they want to train him as a Jedi, and his mother agrees. So he goes with them. They get to Coruscant, and is that when they have the conversation? That's
they get to Coruscant. The Emperor comes out.
Palpatine
2 weeks ago. Comes out and greets them, and they go off. Palpatine goes off with Padme or whatever, and then the Obi-Wan and Qui Gon go to the Jedi Council to let them know. Not that the Sith are back.
Yeah, the Sith are back. As if they ever left.
Yeah. And they wanted to tell him about this boy too. So.
Yeah. Yoda's a little fearful of Anakin, I think, initially.
Yeah. Remember the old Yoda puppet that they had for the original, before they went back and put in CGI Yoda?
Oh, yeah.
How bad it looked.
Yeah.
It looked terrible.
Yeah,
they really botched that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they went back and put in a CGI Yoda.
Yeah, so on Coruscant, this is, I don't remember a lot of what happens on Coruscant, to be honest.
Basically, the no confidence in that.
That's right. It goes through the whole silly no confidence. It goes back to the political intrigue stuff. It gets less exciting.
It's all to get Palpatine in power.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and the movie kind of runs on this bell curve where it's like all the way up in the middle and then down.
It's so boring.
And then back up.
Coruscant,
So on Coruscant, they decide that they need to help Naboo because that's Palpatine gets in power, sends them to help Naboo. And so they send an attack force to attack the Trade Federation at Naboo and rescue the planet. And then we get Anakin flying a plane. I hate it so much. Yeah. That may be number 3 on what I hate the most.
Yeah.
We'll do a spin. That
that works. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
after he just won that pod race too. Yeah. And he was all in the pod race. He was nice and focused and
he was good.
He was great. But then he got just campy.
Yeah,
it was campy, stupid.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
His direction is bad from George Lucas.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame the kid that much.
No.
It's hard to direct kids, and George Lucas was not the man to do it. Yeah. Definitely not. So essentially, they're in battle. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan go down to the planet surface along with Padme and a bunch of the soldiers that run their ships and things like that. And this is where we get the best part of the whole movie. Mm-hmm. They're going to go into the palace, or getting out of the port to go towards the palace. Yep. And here out comes Darth Maul. Pops open one side lightsaber, and then the other one. We have a double-bladed lightsaber.
One of the greatest scores of Star Wars.
Duel of the Fates.
Starts up.
John Williams in his greatest composition. I'm not going to say that because that's probably not true, but I love this. Duel of the Fates is amazing. I still listen to it.
I mean, I can't say most recognizable either, because I mean, he's done the Star Wars theme. He's done Superman.
Indiana Jones.
I mean, he's got a lot of,
Actually, Indiana Jones might be my actual favorite of his, the Indiana Jones theme, because I love that theme. I'll just start humming it.
They're all kind of the same. That's real close to Superman.
Yeah.
It's similar.
Superman. Yeah. Superman is close.
Sorry, back up.
Getting off a little bit. He also did the thing is, I don't know if you heard Bald Move's coverage of Catch Me If You Can, but he did the soundtrack for that, and that's completely different.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a more jazzy sound, which he was raised. John Williams was raised as a jazz musician. His dad was a jazz drummer, which is
I'll go back and press that up because
yeah,
I like that movie.
But yeah, it's a great movie. But no, back to Star Wars. So we're on the Duel of the Fates. I really wish George made a choice to kind of cut back and forth between Darth Maul, Qui Gon, and ObiWan fighting their lightsaber battle, and onto Padme trying to get to the throne room, I guess, is what they were trying to get to take down Newt Gunray in the throne room.
And then the space battle.
In the space battle. So they're intercutting. I think they should have just stuck with the lightsaber battle. It's what Star Wars is known for. It's what we want.
They were kind of using the formula from Jedi. Because you had the Ewoks, you had the space battle, and then you had Luke and Vader fight.
Yeah.
All that going on at one time. But the way they did it then was a lot more seamless, it seemed.
There's also characters that you actually cared about in all those areas.
True.
I mean, I don't care that much for Padme, to be honest, in the movie. I don't really care. I know she's going to survive because she's got plot armor.
Well, you got to throw the fourth phase in there too, the Gungans.
Oh yeah, they got to go to the
Gungans. Going.
I did enjoy. Okay, for what it was, that looks pretty good. The Gungans scene. I think some of it's Battle Droids versus Gungans. It's the two of the worst characters in Star Wars history fighting each other.
Windows 2000.
Yeah, it
background.
Plus, that was the trailer scene. Those tanks coming over that hill. That was the first scene we got of a Star Wars trailer.
It was pretty neat.
In 22 years.
Yeah.
So.
Little did we know.
Yeah. Which crazy thing is, right now we're doing this review in 2021. Phantom Menace is as old this year as A New Hope was when Phantom Menace came out. It's 22 years. It's crazy. So, but yeah, I mean the Gungan scene, they're also fighting. But Duel of the Fates, the big lightsaber battle, that's the chef's kiss of this movie. It's just amazing.
Whenever it cut away from that, you're like, oh, give me back.
I mean, Ray Park just giving it his all with every move, and Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson just really putting it together properly. Just some great choreography from Ray Park, and I'm sure there was other stunt coordinators involved. But
I don't know why it's always stuck out in my head, but there's this one scene where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are facing them in that one area where there's like they're high up and Obi-Wan fakes to go at him. Oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
The fake out.
Yeah, the fake out. Yeah, that's always stuck out in my
The
head.
head fake.
Yeah, and that was
stutter step.
It was very memorable.
Yeah, that's great.
Great.
And then we get to the laser locks or whatever you would call these things, which who knows what those things are for. Nobody is ever going to give an explanation for that, probably. Actually, it's probably in a Star Wars book somewhere, because that's what they do.
Oh, yeah,
they hand wave stuff away in books.
Yeah.
Like the newer trilogy is notorious for hand waving a bunch of stuff away in books, especially the final film.
Yeah.
So they get in those, and Qui-Gon.
Remember this.
Yeah. They're hand waving away.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon and Darth Maul get through the locks. Obi-Wan gets stuck behind the last lock, and that's when Darth Maul and Qui-Gon go at it. It's a great battle between them two, but
it's almost like a chess game, like the way they're fighting.
But
not a lot of dialogue.
No, hardly any at all. Yeah, none at all. In fact,
which a lot of the originals had.
Yeah, they did.
But they didn't do that in this one.
I mean, if you strike me down, I'll become stronger. The line's escaping me right now. But yeah, so Qui-Gon makes a fatal mistake and is run through by the double-bladed lightsaber. This sets Obi-Wan off to very angry, which, here's the thing, Jedis are supposed to control their anger, but I don't think Obi-Wan would have won that fight unless he was angry.
Yeah.
And that goes back to Qui-Gon, pardon me, Qui-Gon was not a very good Jedi on the Jedi terms.
Yeah.
And I think that's, ultimately why he wasn't on the Jedi Council, even though being like a contemporary of Mace Windu and all them.
Cheated at dice.
And I think, a lot of that's come out after that he was kind of like, thought a lot of the Jedi Order was a bunch of bullcrap because what they were teaching was not what truly can be practiced.
And
it's not possible.
That kind of leads into the next movie too.
Yeah.
They kind of touch on
that,
which we'll talk about.
I mean, Obi-Wan continues that trend. I mean, through all the movies and then on to like, when he appears in Rebels too, he certainly isn't like your typical Jedi. There's almost no Jedi left at that point though, so, so Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan gets unlocked from that laser gate and comes out to fight Darth Maul. Makes a mistake, really, and falls into the pit, but he's hanging on.
Their fight is pretty...
Their fight's great, too.
Pretty sweet. When you get a little bit of the, you can tell it was kind of rehearsed, because when they both, like, go back, it's like, okay.
It's clearly rehearsed stuff. It's not true sword fight look.
Yeah.
But Obi-Wan ends up in this large pit, and he's hanging on, and Maul makes his mistake here. He just teases Obi-Wan. He taunts him, and Obi-Wan pulls all of his strength, goes over, chops Maul in half. Maul falls down the pit. But as we know, nobody that falls down a pit dies in Star Wars ever.
Oh yeah.
So Maul comes back at some point later on. You see him in a movie, and that we'll review at some point.
Clone
Wars and Rebels.
Really dives into how.
Yeah. Very
I know
much.
you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I'm probably not going to watch it.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot to get through.
So basically, Maul's defeated. We know that Palpatine's the Sith Lord at this point. Well, we already knew that because it's the story of Star Wars, basically. Yeah. Anakin becomes a Jedi trainee, although Yoda is scared to do it, but they make Obi-Wan his master. And, Naboo's return to Padme and Queen Amidala, Everything's good at the end.
I never got, like, Obi-Wan's like, you know what? I'm going to take him and train him anyway.
Yeah.
And Qui-Gon was the same way.
Yeah, they didn't care.
The Jedi, they're like, okay, whatever. So what are they there for?
Yeah. I guess, with that sect that Qui-Gon is probably part of, because they don't go into Jedi sects, but they exist, they obviously exist.
Right.
It's like, they're going to do what they want. We just have to kind of go with it. So, at least they can keep an eye on them that way.
They're more for, like, kind of help.
Yeah.
Knowledge,
So,
wisdom, whatever.
So that's where it ends. The Gungans and the Naboo people are all friends now, even though they weren't enemies before, I don't guess. But
and they try to end it exactly like New Hope.
Yeah, and then we got that that music at the end, So that's
great.
Yeah. That's voice of an angel.
It is.
Speaking of you people.
A fallen angel.
Yeah. Just call me the devil. So that's Phantom Menace. If you haven't seen it, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's probably a really long explanation.
If you haven't seen it, then why are you watching?
It's a really long explanation to explain that movie because it actually is a pretty complicated movie.
And everything
There's a lot to it.
Everything we've gone through, I mean, everybody knows.
Yeah, everybody knows.
But I mean, gets a lot of flack. But in the long run, over the years, that's one of the Star Wars movies I go back and watch.
Yeah,
repeatedly.
It's fun. Yeah. It's a fun movie.
Have it on in the background. It's one of those. It's a background movie.
It's a Star Wars movie. Yeah. I can't say that about some of the newer Star Wars movies. They're Star Wars movies, but they're not exact. They don't capture the spirit. I feel like Phantom Menace did at least capture the spirit of Star Wars. I guess it helps that Obi-Wan's there. You got Obi-Wan, and the cast is terrific.
I think that, and then bringing you back to Tatooine, kind of gave you that nostalgic feel.
Yeah.
So it made you feel like Star Wars.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So
I mean, it was Mos Eisley again.
Yeah. And then seeing Coruscant for the first time was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, Coruscant's cool. Like a planet city, city planet. So yeah,
CGI actually holds up.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, there's places here and there where it's kind of dodgy, but
but overall it's still good.
I mean, it was impressive back in the day. It's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think we have anything else to say about it other than just to give the ratings we would give for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll let you go first because I'm not going first. I'm going to base my rating off
Out
yours.
of 5. Ooh. I gotta go 3.6.
That's pretty close. I'm going 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah. 3.5's where I've been on that one since I rewatched it last year again before the new. I watched all of them last year before we watched Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. So 3.5 is where I was at then. 3.5 is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Is it a perfect movie? God, no. Not even close. Is the dialogue pretty terrible most of the time? Yes. But it gets enough right that it feeds that Star Wars itch. It feels like a Star Wars movie. It does a lot of things right on top of what it does wrong. George maybe pushed a little bit to the kiddie side with some of it.
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't have to do that because Star Wars has mass appeal. Kids, adults, everybody. But he had things like Jar Jar and the Gungans because they're more kid friendly. But 3.5 I think is good. 3.6 is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it actually made you excited for the sequel.
Yeah.
Because you're like, man, they got some things to cover here, and I can't wait to see how this progresses.
Yeah.
And we'll give it to you on the next
review. Next time.
Yep.
I'm not promising I'm going to be nice. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Cheers.